Well, here we are, Brant. Week 16, Christmas Eve. Very special week of NFL football here. A lot of leagues were competing for our chance in our championship game, right? Or for some of us like myself, avoiding the toilet bowl in other leagues.
Yeah.
Definitely a big week of football. They're very excited to have the holiday festivities. I've already been yelled at. I'm not allowed to watch my Falcons play when the kids are opening presents today, but what the wife don't know won't hurt her.
I had to take a break from making toys to come down here and do this live with you guys. I'll go ahead and get the elf joke out of the way for you because I know you'll have one. So I had to take a break from making toys for this beautiful, beautiful day of football.
I've got multiple. It's fine. I've got the Christmas tree in the background, but as you can see, I'm a large fella. I cover the tree, so it's there.
I went to go put mine there, and then myself forgot I have a big old bay window with the sun shining straight in, so I had to remove myself from the tree.
Like that.
Yeah.
All right. Looks like we got our first question of the day. Says, good morning, guys. Need help on who to put in for RB1, RB2, and flex. I have Jalen Waddle, Tony Pollard, Zeke Elliott, J.K. Dobbins, Cordero Patterson, and Leonard Fournette. He says, thank you and have a Merry Christmas. Chris, thank you and a Merry Christmas to you as well. Okay, Brant, is there one of these names that stick out like tremendously for you
Let's see.
For the running back one?
Running back one. I absolutely love J.K. Dobbins this week. He's one of the hottest backs in the NFL right now. He's gone over 120 yards both weeks back. So, yeah, I like Dobbins to be started in as one of your RBs. So his name really sticks out to me. Let's see. So that's my one that I definitely want to get in. Let me go through these names again. Waddle, I don't think you can sit. I expect a decently high-scoring game in that game between Green Bay and Miami on Sunday. Plus, you get the flexibility of playing a player tomorrow. So I think I'm going to go with Waddle, Dobbins, and Zeke. Zeke has the touchdown upside over Pollard. He's found the end zone over, I think it was the last 5 out of 8 weeks, or I'm sorry, 7 out of 8 weeks or something like that. I don't have it pulled up right off me, but he's found the end zone in multiple weeks. So I absolutely love Zeke for the touchdown upside. So I'm going to go with Dobbins, Waddle, and Zeke here.
Yeah, I'm like-minded on this one. I don't think J.K. Dobbins goes for 120. I think the yards are going to be a little less this week, but I could see him going for 70 and a touchdown this week against my Atlanta Falcons. Zeke, same way, a divisional matchup. No Jalen Hurts. I think that means it's going to be a lot more of Dallas's style of play than it will be Philly's this week. So I look for a big game out of Zeke as well. And then, like you said, Brant, I'm not sitting Jalen Waddle at this time of the year. So Waddle, Dobbins, and Elliott for me as well. Joe, Merry Christmas. He says Cole Kmet or Jalen Warren in PPR. So you've got the Bears hosting the Bills and the Steelers hosting the Raiders. I know most of the week Najee was considered questionable, but he was not on the final injury report that came out Friday, I believe. So
yeah,
should be a good healthy workload for Najee for what that you consider that to hurt Jalen or not. I don't know. I think I would go Jalen Warren in this matchup if the Bears were playing somebody that I thought running the ball would be more effective against. But I do think the Bears are going to have to pass a healthy amount. No Chase Claypool this week. We obviously know there's no Darnell Mooney. Cole Kmet's going to have to be the guy for them to move the ball through the air. So I actually think I do lean Cole Kmet here by a pretty healthy margin in my mind.
Yeah, I lean Cole Kmet, like you. Same reason you said. I know the Bills are number one against the tight ends, but I think they're going to have to throw the ball, and Cole Kmet's the best guy to catch that ball out of the back or out of that receiving core. So yeah, I think I lean Cole Kmet on this one.
Mark says, Merry Christmas. Merry Christmas to you as well, Mark.
Merry Christmas.
He says he needs 2 in a PPR league, James Conner, J.K. Dobbins, or Kenneth Walker. This is a great problem to have.
It is a very good problem to have, and I actually am going to lean Dobbins and Walker on this one. I know Walker's been banged up, but Tampa Bay's been so good against the the run this year. I know they've been a little choppy over the last few games, but I think they get right against Arizona and force Arizona to throw the ball, especially with Trace McSorley starting. So I think I'm going to take Connor out and start Dobbins and Walker.
Yeah, I'm going Connor and Dobbins for me. Walker has been banged up. Not a whole lot of practice time. DJ Dallas is also back. Travis Homer's back. And this is also a game that could completely take the running game out of it if Kansas City jumps off to a hot start, which they haven't lately, I understand. But if it happens, you could see Kenneth Walker be completely limited to a pass catching back. I'm not sure how much I love his upside there with Homer still in town. So I do go Connor and Dobbins. I think the game script in Arizona for Arizona and Tampa Bay is going to be a lot closer. They'll be able to run the ball most of the game because while it is Trace McSorley, on the other side of the ball, it's Tom Brady, who's not been good this year. So I don't expect Tom to go light the scoreboard up and take the Cardinals away from the run. So I think there's just going to be too much volume for Connor for me to sit him this week. So I go Connor and Dobbins.
Okay.
Josh says, morning, would you start Bills D or Chicago as I have Fields starting, or Denver D versus the Rams?
I think I'm going to go. Oh, man. I think I'm going to go with the Bills D. I just think Fields is going to be more prone to having to throw the ball more, which is more prone for a turnover. The Denver Rams game, you could see a run fest. You could see less than 15 passes on both sides of that ball, and that game get done pretty quickly with them both just running the ball. So I think I'm going to go with the Bills defense. I think they're more prone to getting turnovers. The safer play in my mind is Denver's defense because it will be a low-scoring game. But if you need that upside on your defense, I like the Bills.
Yeah, I think I hate starting a defense against my starting quarterback in fantasy. I don't know why that's such a problem for me, but I can't stand doing that. And Denver's defense, again, they're very talented, and they get to see Baker Mayfield. They're guaranteed an interception, I would say, at the very least 2. So for me, I think Denver's safer and has just as high of an opportunity to hold points or hang points as the Bills defense. That weather in Chicago also lends itself to being a run fest on both sides of the ball. So that does suit better for Chicago than it does Buffalo as far as Chicago keeping themselves in the game. So I think I go Denver here.
Okay.
Tyler says Tony Pollard or Mike Evans in the flex.
That's a tough one.
I'm going Mike Evans. Tom Brady looked his way a lot last week. Granted, especially when they got up to that 17-0 lead. I think I'm playing Mike Evans again this week. Zeke scares me mainly because Jerry Jones loves Zeke so much. Mike McCarthy would be a fool not to run Zeke because he'd probably be fired even after the good season they've had. So I go Mike Evans in this one.
Yeah, I think I'm going to lean Mike Evans on this one too. I like his upside there. The banged up secondary in Arizona. So yeah, I think I'm going to take Mike Evans.
Ed says touchdown only league start 2. Marquise Goodwin, Gabe Davis, KJ Osborne, or Richie Harris. Thank you guys. I'm going to assume that's Richie James, right? Or is that running back from? No, that's Kevin Harris. So for me, Gabe Davis has the highest upside to score a touchdown. I don't know how you feel about that, Brant. And then honestly, after last week, I have a really hard time not wanting to see if KJ Osborne's momentum carries over. He was like the focal point of that Vikings comeback win over the Indianapolis Colts last weekend. So I think I go KJ Osborne and Gabe Davis for myself.
Yeah, I like the Gabe Davis. The Bears are not that great against the slot wide receiver. So I absolutely like Gabe Davis this week in touchdown only leagues and in PPR leagues. And for my other one, I'm actually going to go with Goodwin. I expect that to be a high scoring game. He's going to fill in the Tyler Lockett role. So he should see plenty of targets. Even when Lockett and DK are healthy, he looks for Godwin in the red zone. So I'm actually going to go with Godwin as my other start there.
Okay. Chris says Mike Evans, Adam Thielen, or Latavius Murray. So again, you've got the Bucs against the Cardinals, the Vikings against the Giants, and the Broncos against the Rams on Sunday. Brant, any of these stick out as a preference for you, or as a one you want more than the other?
So I'm actually going to go with Latavius Murray. He saw 24 carries last week. He also got involved in the pass game. He saw 64% of the snaps. So I absolutely love his upside of being on the field. I know it didn't, it did actually pan out really well. I know he has been up and down all year, but I think the safest play is Latavius Murray. He's going to be involved. That game's going to be close. So yeah, I like Latavius Murray in that game against the Rams. So yeah, I think I'm going to lean Latavius Murray.
Okay. So for me, I as much as I hate to do this, I think I'm taking Adam Thielen kind of out of the equation for me. So it really comes down to Mike Evans and Latavius Murray. Home run ability is Mike Evans. Safe plays Latavius Murray. It depends on what you need. So the good news is with either Murray or Evans, you get all day to watch all day today to see whether you need that home run with Mike Evans or you need that safe play of Latavius Murray.
Mm-hmm.
So I think that's a great luxury to have. Obviously, if you're within 5 points of your opponent and you've got Latavius Murray or Mike Evans, I'll go Latavius Murray. If you need 15 points, you go Mike Evans. It's a great problem. John says, pick 2, Swift, Deion Jackson, Murray, and then Monty, or a quarterback, and then he needs a quarterback. Sorry, Daniel Jones or Gardner Minshew. Brant?
I'm gonna hit this quarterback one right off the bat because I know you and me are in the same boat here. We've talked about this one this week as I've streaming quarterbacks. We're both on the Daniel Jones wagon on this one, correct? We love the fact that he's in the dome of Minnesota. Minnesota's susceptible to passing, so I actually love Daniel Jones this week. I actually am streaming him due to the fact I lost Kyler Murray in the league that I had the number 1 seed in. So I'm actually going Jones over Minshew myself.
I will say the last time you and I were in agreement on Daniel Jones, he had like 13 fantasy points that week. So expectations are low, but I do know just like you alluded to, Minnesota is absolutely terrible against the pass defense right now. And Daniel Jones can sneak off and get those running upside plays as well. So I think you have to go Daniel Jones there. As far as the pick 2 running backs, for me, it's real simple. Montgomery's going to be the first one. The weather and that Bears-Bills games is bad enough that I think they're going to have to run the ball quite a bit, both sides of the ball. And again, with the Bills not being able to put up points as much as they normally would in the past. Again, I'm not saying they won't. It's possible. But I do think the game script's going to lend itself to Montgomery being able to be involved for the whole game. And then it's Deion Jackson for me. The Chargers are absolutely terrible against the run. It's a Monday night game. I know, Brant, you and I are kind of torn on whether it's going to be Jackson or Zach Moss. Even if it's a 50-50 split, I'll still take a 50-50 split against the Chargers' terrible run defense. Again, Monday night giving me the ability to believe that I'm still in the game in a fantasy week, especially, odds are championship or third place on the line. So I'll take Deion Jackson and Monty for that.
Yeah, I'm definitely taking Monty. I like like you said, it's going to be a run first game in that cold weather game. I know, Buffalo's used to the cold so that they can hang in that cold weather, but I like Monty. I like them to try to keep the ball away from Josh Allen as much as possible. So I expect a heavy dose of Monty this week. I know Khalil Herbert's back, but that doesn't scare me week 1. I think he'll be slowly worked back in. And I think I'm going to have to lean Deion Jackson as well, even if it's a 50-50 split against the Chargers. It's too good to run against the Chargers. And I'm not 100% sold that Swift is going to be the goal line work back because, look what Jamal Williams has done all year. So, yeah, I think I'm going to go with Jackson and Monty.
It is, it is worth noting that for the first time in a long time, DeAndre Swift wasn't listed on the injury report in any fashion. So they do have that going for him here. Greg says flex PPR, Amari Cooper or Dallas Goedert. Brant, I'm going to let you crack this one open because this is a question that you're battling yourself. So
I'm going with Goddard. I am benching almost everything in that New Orleans Cleveland game. That is the first game with I think it's been like 10 years or longer with like a 32-point spread to open it up with. That weather is going to be atrocious. The wind, the rain, the cold. So yeah, I'm kind of fading all of the wide receivers in that game. But yeah, as for the running backs in that game, I love them. So I am actually going to go Goddard. Last time Goddard played with Minshew, he went for over 100 yards and 2 touchdowns. I do know Dallas is very good against the tight end, but I expect Dallas Goedert to have a pretty good game.
Yeah, for me, I think I'm actually going to go the opposite. I know the weather's not great. But Gardner Minshew getting his first start, Dallas Goedert's first start back from the injured reserve. I'm just nervous about the whole darn thing and how good Dallas is. Brant, we looked it up pre-show. Dallas is number 2 against tight ends. All those factors are enough to scare me into starting Amari Cooper, even though, just like you alluded to, this is the lowest spread that I've seen Vegas put out, at least this year by far. And I'm not at all attracted to anything in this game, but I think it's just enough that I'll put Amari Cooper over Dallas Goedert. Amy says, Merry Christmas. Merry Christmas, Amy.
Merry Christmas.
She says, one flex, Jamal Williams, Swift, or Dylan. She says she's leaning towards Dylan because the Lions have been screwing me for a month. No matter which one I pick. That's fair. All right, so let's dissect that first part of this first, Brant, and then we'll move on. So Williams, Swift, or Dylan, where are you at with that?
I think I'm going to lean Dylan as well. I just think we know he's going to get, you know what his workload's going to be. He's in that split backfield. You know he's going to see 40 to 50% of the work. And I mean, he's going against Miami. I think he can, that game's going to be a high scoring game. So I think he'll be involved in the pass game. So I absolutely like AJ Dillon this week.
I honestly feel like I'm going to go Swift in this one. It's been a while since I've picked Swift for anything. I know A.J. Dillon looked great last week, but I think Aaron Jones is still the lead dog in that backfield for a little while longer. And we've seen Swift start to get more and more involved each week, not on the injury report at all this week. The Carolina Panthers don't scare me defensively. I think it's going to be a great game, and I just have this gut feeling that DeAndre Swift is going to find the end zone. And Brant, you and I know we have big guts when we have a feeling about something. These big guts, we ride with it. So I'm riding with Swift. All right. Next part of this question is pick one: Zach Moss, Latavius Murray, AJ Dillon at running back. All right, where are you at there, Brant?
Once again, I'm going with Latavius Murray. Safe play in my mind. I know he's going to see plenty of carries. And I know Moss and Dillon are both going to be in split backfields. As much as I do like Dillon this week, I think I go with the safety of Latavius Murray on this one.
Yeah, I think it's Latavius Murray as well. I know Marlon Mack's creeping into it a little bit, but I think I still see Latavius Murray with the most volume there. And then the last part of this question is PPR pick one: Brandon Ayuk, Deontay Johnson, Donovan Peoples-Jones at flex.
Who do the Niners have? Washington. I think I go with, oh man, that's tough. That's a lot tougher than I thought. I think I go with Ayuk. With no Debo, I like Ayuk to be the number one. I know he hasn't been the greatest when Debo is out, but I think I like Ayuk this week to see plenty of volume. So I'm going to go with Ayuk.
For me, I think I'm going to go ahead and go with Deontay Johnson here. I absolutely am. Last week, Mitch Trubisky started 10 targets, 10 receptions for Deontay Johnson. So I expect that work to go ahead and continue into this week. I look for him to be highly involved. So I'll go Deontay Johnson there. Follows it up with Minshew or Brady.
Oh.
I'm going Brady. Brady looked better than he has a lot this season last week. I'm thinking there's a small chance that carries over. Again, Gardner Minshew just scares me. I know there's been some Minshew mania moments where it's been amazing, but he's bounced around. He's not. I mean, I don't know. I don't have any faith in it. I know, Brant, you're ready to cut the jeans off, throw some jorts on, shave the mustache down.
He's got a full beard now. It's cool. It's fine. I can keep it. He's got a full beard now. I'm going to go Brady on this one too. As much as I love Gardner Minshew as a quarterback, and I enjoy watching him, everything else, but I think I have to go Brady. I think that's the safer play. You're not sure what you're going to get out of Minshew this week against Dallas. Dallas's D is not bad, and they're going to get after Philly. They want the revenge from the earlier loss this year, and plus they want Philly to have to play for something over the last 2 weeks, because if Philly turns out and wins this game, they clinch the 1 seed. So I think I'm going to have to go with Brady.
Joe says Juju or Hopkins. Kind of nervous starting Hopkins with a third string quarterback.
I can't bench Hopkins. I cannot vouch to bench Hopkins. I don't care who the quarterback is. Look what he did in Houston with the rotational quarterbacks. I can't bench Hopkins. I just cannot. I can't do it.
Yeah, I think I go Hopkins as well. Trace McSorley's got a pretty good size arm on him. He gets the ball. He puts some zip on it. I think DeAndre Hopkins is going to be fine. Matter of fact, I actually expect him to be passed to more often than he would have with a healthy Kyler, because Trace McSorley is going to look for a safety blanket. And with no Zach Ertz, I expect that safety blanket to be DeAndre Hopkins. Oh, Brant, this is your question here, bud.
Going eggnog. Going eggnog on that one.
I'm not doing either. For our family, it's typically Fireball that gets passed around. But
that's typically what gets passed around here, but that's heartburn for this fat guy. So I pass on that. I'll take the eggnog.
Yeah. All right. There you have it. Brandon says James Conner or Miles Sanders PPR.
I'm going to go with Miles Sanders. I expect Philly, like we just said, that with Minshew back there scares me. I expect Philly to lean on that, on the Miles Sanders rushing attack. I know he did not look great last week or get involved that much last week, but I definitely like Miles Sanders this week.
Yeah, I'm going Miles Sanders here as well. Again, I know I just talked a little earlier about how much I like James Conner this week, but I like Miles Sanders even more. Divisional matchup, backup quarterback. I think everything's just aligning for Miles Sanders to be really involved, especially when Sirianni comes out last week and says, hey, he wasn't involved enough. We got to get him more touches, halfway through the second quarter, I think it was, before he saw his first carry. I don't expect that to happen this week, so I go Miles Sanders. Logan says Deontay Johnson or Joe Mixon. He's leaning Johnson. Brant, where are you at on this one?
PPR, I think I'm actually going to lean Johnson on this one. Mixon scares me. He's hard to take out of your lineup because he sees so much volume, but I think Deontay Johnson has the higher ceiling this week. Mixon, I think in my mind, is the safest play because you know he's going to see volume, but what's he going to do with that volume against New England's defense? So I think I actually have to go Johnson to get that higher ceiling out there in this one.
I think I go Deontay Johnson as well. Joe Mixon just scares me mainly because of how good Samaje Perine is, how many other great weapons there are on the field in Cincinnati. And I think New England's got a pretty underrated run defense anchored by Matthew Judon there. So I do think I go Deontay Johnson, but it's slight for me. Josh says Darren Waller versus Pittsburgh or George Kittle versus Washington in PPR.
I'm going with Waller here. Washington's number one against the tight end. So Kittle scares me a little bit this week. I, like you and me, have talked about this week. As much as I need him to hang a goose egg, we know he won't hang one. But I don't expect it to be a blow-away game for George Kittle. So I actually lean Waller on this one.
Yeah, I think both of these guys are going to finish really close to one another. George Kittle's looked too good with Brock Purdy. However, I do think I'm going Darren Waller by the slightest of margins. I expect Pittsburgh to try to take away Devontae Adams from the Raiders this week. So I think I'd go Waller just because I think he's got a slight better chance to catch a touchdown, but I think their numbers finish fairly similar this week. Garrett says, morning, fellas. Happy holidays, Dak or Deshaun. First of all, happy holidays to you as well, Garrett. Thanks for joining us on Christmas Eve here. Brant, where's you at? Where are you at with this? I have a feeling we're going to be real similar. Where are you at?
I'm going with Dak. I think they try to pull away in that game. I think they try to make a statement against Philly's defense. I know Philly's defense is very, very good, and Philly's going to want to lean on that defense, but I have to go with Dak on this one. That weather in Cleveland scares me, so I don't know how much Deshaun's going to air the ball out. I know he has the rushing upside, but I think this is going to be a full-blown Nick Chubb and Kareem Hunt game for Cleveland, so I'm going to lean on Dak.
Yeah, I'm going Dak here as well. The over-under just is so scary in that game. There's a good defense on both sides of the ball, really, in that Browns Saints game. and like you said, Dak, I just expect the Cowboys to try to put up some points against the Eagles and try to go ahead and knock them down a peg here this week. So I go Dak as well. John says, how about Swift over Walker with Walker not looking completely healthy? Listen, the Walker not being healthy, we can see in the screen that our Walker is not very healthy. He's kind of obese. But if you're talking about Kenneth Walker from the Seahawks, yes, there is some fear there for me as well. I don't know if there's enough for me to play Swift over him. I think I probably do. Just because, again, I think there's that small chance that Kansas City jumps to a huge lead and takes the run game away from Seattle, and that does scare me a little bit. Whereas I expect the Lions to kind of control the game against the Panthers. So I think it's okay to go Swift over this, but like Brant and I kind of talked pre-show, you have to be okay with Walker going off on your bench because there's also a good possibility of that.
Yeah, I think Walker is. I think it's okay with going Swift over Walker. Walker was had the ankle injury, and then he came back, and he looked pretty good against the Niners. I know his numbers weren't great because, well, it's the Niners defense, but then he showed up on the injury report with back spasms, and that also caused him to miss some time this week. And DJ Dallas back healthy. I don't know if he's going to get a full workload. Like you said, Kansas City may try to take that completely out. So I think it's okay to go Swift over Walker, but yes, you have to be comfortable with the fact that Walker could pop off on your bench.
Absolutely.
I'm benching Walker, so I'm on the boat with you there.
Okay, fair enough. Joe says Bengals or Browns defense this week. So again, you got the Bengals traveling to Foxborough to play the Patriots. You got the Browns at home against the Saints.
I'm going to take the Browns defense here. I expect New England to try to slow this game down as much as possible and just pound the ball. And they do have a great runner in Ramondre Stevenson that can pound that ball out and keep the ball on the field. So I expect a low-scoring game, but I don't expect too many turnover chances for the Bengals. As for the Browns, I expect them to get that turnover chances with the wind helping them out and everything else. Very low-scoring game. So, yeah, I like the Browns defense this week.
I too go the Browns. Again, that low scoring line from Vegas. Vegas puts these lines out with a good amount of confidence. I think, like Brant, you alluded to, I think it's going to be Nick Chubb, Alvin Kamara, but I do think you'll see some turnovers. Andy Dalton's not what he used to be anymore. I think he throws a pick this week, so I go the Browns. Plus, I think Myles Garrett gets after him again this week. Yeah, it's the Browns for me. Excuse me, Bo, what a great name. First of all, says Waller or Knox.
You're not going to talk about his picture too? That's a great picture too there with the Seattle Mariners there.
Fair enough.
I'm going to go with Waller on this one here, like you alluded to. I think they try to take Devontae Adams out of the game the best they can. Obviously, they're not going to take him completely out of the game, but I like Waller's upside this week.
Yeah, I think I'd go slightly to Waller. I also think the weather in Chicago leans itself to more short passes for Josh Allen, so I think Knox could be the beneficiary of that. But they also have so many great weapons on the outside that are shifty and speedy that I could see them getting short passes out to those wideouts and letting them make plays after the catch as well. So I'd go Waller here. I've been waiting. This is the first one I've seen. I've been waiting for it. Michael Pittman Jr., DJ Moore in PPR. I am smashing DJ Moore this week in PPR. The Lions are atrocious against slot wide receivers. Since Sam Darnold has taken over, DJ Moore is running like 65% of his routes from the slot. I actually absolutely love DJ Moore this week.
I'm going to go with DJ Moore, too. He had a good week last week. We're hoping he's starting to get back on track. And as for Pittman, he's got Nick Foles there. We don't know what that connection is going to look like. So, yeah, I think I'm smashing DJ Moore over Pittman this week as well.
Garrett says, I think I know the answer, but Knox or Andrews. So you got Andrews against my Atlanta Falcons or Knox against the Bears. Again, both these games feature some very, very cold temperatures. So, Brant, I'll let you take first lead on this one because I know where I'm going.
I think I have to go with Andrews over Knox. Like you alluded to, I expect short passes in that Chicago Buffalo game. So I don't know how much I trust Knox. So, yeah, I actually have to lean Andrews. I know he hasn't been the greatest with Huntley, but he's got a good matchup going against Atlanta. So yeah, I think I'm going to go with Andrews.
It has to be Andrews for me as well. Atlanta's been suspect against a lot of things this year. They've shown bright flashes and they've shown some weaknesses. I do think you'll see rookie second round pick Troy Anderson, our linebacker, that was a converted quarterback in college, covering Mark Andrews, and it hasn't been great from Troy Anderson. I think he gets better as he progresses in his career, but right now I still have to take Mark Andrews over Knox. Joe says Pacheco, Dobbins, Elliott, Kamara, or Walker. Pick 3 for PPR.
Oh, Pacheco. You got to go Pacheco against my terrible, terrible Seahawks defense.
Brant, I honestly think I'm going with the first 3 names listed. Again, you got Pacheco, who, like you alluded to, the Seahawks are giving up pretty good fantasy numbers against the running back positions. While I do think McKinnon has the better day out of the running backs there just because his PPR upside, I think Pacheco has a good game as well. Dobbins, you alluded to, I think the Falcons are going to allow him to run the ball pretty easily. And then we both said that we expect Zeke to have a pretty good game. So I think I go with the first 3 here.
Yeah, I'm going to go with the first 3 as well. It'd be really easy to get Kamara in there due to the fact of his decent matchup, but I think I still have to go with those first 3. But Seattle can't stop the run. We've seen that so many times with them just opening up the holes for the running backs because we can't fill them. And Dobbins has been red hot, so I'm on that. And Zeke has been just fine. He's got a nose for the end zone lately, and I'm going to ride that end zone. I'm going to ride that touchdown train until it falls off.
Listen, I know another thing that people are forgetting about is there is another running back in New Orleans now that's going to steal work, and that's David Johnson, who has been starting to get going. He's gotten his legs under him a little bit the last couple of weeks. I don't like Kamara's matchup at all, actually. I think he stays under his numbers, but we'll talk about that later if we have some downtime. Gerardo says, I know I'm reading comments ahead over here. He said, good morning and great show. So Gerardo, I thank you for that. Appreciate it. As far as Dobbins or Stevenson, combine the 2 names there, and half PPR, Ramondre Stevenson's not coming out of my lineup for anybody in the playoffs. It's not happening. I think he's going to have a great week again this week. He's kind of the focal point of the New England offense right now, catching a lot of passes out of the backfield, running really well this year. It's Ramondre Stevenson for me in this one.
Yeah, I can't pull Harris out or Stevenson on my lineup. Sorry. He's been too good. He's the number 1 back there. And like I said earlier, I expect New England to try to pound that ball out and keep the ball on their side and away from Joey B. So yeah, I think I have to start Stevenson.
Browns defense or Chargers defense? I'm going Browns. I know that, Nick Foles is the starting quarterback for the Colts. No Jonathan Taylor. I know it points to, you want to get a defense against that offense right now. But the Vegas spread is still too tempting for me not to grab the Browns defense this week.
Yeah, I'm taking the Browns defense. Terrible weather there. I expect it to be a ground and pound game, and when Dalton does have to throw, I expect a lot of chances for turnovers or sacks. So yeah, I'm going to go with. I'm also going to go with the Browns defense here.
Mauricio says, pick 1: Dylan Moss or Deontay Johnson from Pitt.
I think I'm going to go with Deontay Johnson here. I think they'll get him some targets. I expect a pretty good passing attack there. I know it's going to be cold weather, but I expect Deontay Johnson to be the focal point out of those 3. I do expect a good game out of Dylan. So, but I have to lean Johnson. Excuse me.
Yeah, I know, Brent. You're really enjoying what we're seeing from Dylan right now. I liked it last week too. He's been more involved the last couple of weeks than he has all season. As far as Zach Moss goes, I don't know what that's going to look like with him and Deion Jackson there in Indy. But I do know what I'm getting out of Deontay Johnson, and it's hard to sit that. So I think I'm going Johnson as well as you are here. Yeah. Joe says David Njoku or Tennessee Titans tight end Okay, Wongo. He says, pardon my spelling. As long as you don't mind our pronunciations, I'm fine.
As our good buddy Bunch would call him, Cowabunga, because we're not trying to pronounce that name either.
Listen, I'm gonna make this as simply put as I can. If Ryan Tannehill was healthy and playing this week, I think I would go with him. But with that being the case, of potentially seeing Malik Willis, who's not been anything appealing, I have to go David Njoku again. The weather in this game scares me, but I do expect the tight end to be involved. Brant, I do believe you started Njoku over Goddard, maybe.
No, I put Goddard in.
Okay, you put Goddard, so that line scares you too. But
yeah,
I just can't get on board with the pass catcher with Malik Willis. It's not looked good this year until I see something that says otherwise. I can't start anybody with him. So I do go Njoku.
I'm going to go to Njoku over Cowabunga here. As fun as it's been to watch that Tennessee tight end, I cannot get on board with somebody catching a ball from Malik Willis until I see more out of it. We know that Njoku could possibly be the safety blanket in that atrocious weather game on those short passes. So I'm going to go with Njoku.
Listen, Brant, in the offseason, you and I have a job to do, and it's to learn to pronounce this guy's name. I know it took us all offseason to get Albert O's name down right with a guy who was from Central Illinois, like both of us are, who went to my favorite college. We took us forever to get Albert O's name. So this is our calling this offseason. We got this tight end name down here.
Well, if he keeps playing the way he is, he's going to be inside of our rankings, so we're definitely going to have to know that name.
Absolutely. Mauricio says DFS Ravens or Eagles defense. I'm going the Ravens defense. Okay. We got Desmond Ridder, the rookie quarterback starting, who completed 13 of 26 passes last week for 97 yards. It was all run game that moved the ball for Atlanta. And again, Drake London had a fumble late, so there were some points for the defense there. So I do think you'll see the Ravens get some points. There'll be some turnovers from that young Atlanta offense. And again, the Eagles, I want no part of starting a defense against the Cowboys.
Yeah, no, I don't want the Eagles defense. I expect them to be on the field quite a bit this week with Dallas's offense. So yeah, I'm leaning the Ravens on this one. I expect them to cause some turnovers from Desmond Ridder and the rookies and there in your guys' offense. So and the Ravens secondary starting to get a little healthier too. I know they haven't been the greatest, but I have to lean on that defense.
Jason says, Merry Christmas, fellas. Mike Williams or Devonta Smith. Jason, first of all, Merry Christmas to you and your family from the FatBoyz.
Yeah, Merry Christmas. Merry Christmas. This one's tough.
This is tough for me. It's a little less tough because one of these guys has their starting quarterback and they looked good last week with their quarterback. I'm going Mike Williams with Justin Herbert over Devonta Smith and Garner Minshew. So again, the chemistry seems to be back. Mike Williams is getting his opportunities deep. He's getting involved in a lot of different aspects of that as well. He's getting some short routes too. So I go Mike Williams here.
Okay. I think I'm going to lean Mike Williams as well. I like the quarterback situation there. Minshew, I'm not sure what I'm going to get. So yeah, I like Mike Williams over Smith this week.
He follows that up with Taysom Hill or Juwan Johnson. Juwan Johnson's been one of my favorite players to watch this week, and mainly because our entire claim to fame for the FatBoyz this year is we called Juwan Johnson's breakout in like week 3. So that's something we're very proud of on the show. However, I'm going Taysom Hill in this one. I think Taysom Hill is a guy that the Saints are going to look to get a spark in that offense. There's something about like how many wins or what the percentage of the Saints wins are when Taysom Hill has over a certain amount of yards rushing and touches of the ball. So I think that Dennis Allen will look to get Taysom Hill involved, especially with the weather and how bad this game's supposed to be. I think Taysom Hill will be the spark this week.
Yeah. I also agree with Taysom Hill. I think you see a lot of Taysom Hill packages with the cold weather. I expect him to line up under center, tight end, running back, special teams. I don't know. He'll line up everywhere. I expect a healthy dose of Taysom Hill this week.
John says, give us the DraftKings cheap plays today at running back and wide receiver.
So I pulled up my FanDuel. I don't know if I actually have the DraftKings, and Algiers down there. I like his upside this week with you guys wanting to pound the ball out. James Cook's another one that could be cheap to go get in that cold weather game. So those are two of my favorite lower tier running backs is James Cook and Algier. And as for wide receivers, let me scroll down here. Marquise Goodwin could be a good one there in Seattle in a high-scoring game. As much as I don't know how much everybody will be involved or how well that game's going to look, I do like Goodwin to find the end zone. Let's see. What do you got? You got anybody so far? I know this one caught us a little off guard.
Yeah. Devin Singletary's kind of down there as well. Again, with that weather for running backs, anytime you get a running back who's around the 6,000, a little under 6,500 for running backs, I think you've got a good value there. So I like Devin Singletary this week. I also like Samaje Perine at 5,500 for running backs. Just the fact that those guys do get involved as much as they do. Those are relatively cheap plays. As far as the wide receivers, Drake London at 6,400. If you can get a wide receiver that cheap that has the target share of their offense like Drake London does, especially the way Drake London's looked kind of the last 2 weeks for Atlanta, he's been pretty good. Finally starting to put up some decent numbers for him there. And then my favorite cheap wide receiver is Darius Slayton at 6,300. This is on FanDuel. I also don't use DraftKings, but Darius Slayton, is kind of the best wide receiver that the New York Giants have left at this point. And they are playing the Minnesota Vikings, who are absolutely terrible against wide receivers. So give me all of Darius Slayton for $6,300 bucks on FanDuel.
Yeah, absolutely. Also, Johns, go check out the article they posted this morning on the Fantasyholics page. They do have good DFS plays. Make sure you check that out. They do some more deeper dives, and they have both FanDuel and DraftKings pricing on there. So make sure you go check that out.
Absolutely. Jennifer says Ken Walker, Michael Pittman, or Zach Moss in the flex. I think this is the first one, Brant. I'm going to be starting Kenneth Walker. Pittman with Nick Foles scares me. I know I loved Pittman when Matt Ryan was under center, just because Matt Ryan will throw the ball all over the place. But Nick Foles, I'm not sure what we're going to get out of Nick. And then Zach Moss, again, we think that's going to be close to a 50-50 split, but if it comes out and it's 70% Deion Jackson, Zach Moss is going to be pretty irrelevant. So I have to go with the best player out of these three when they're all questionable. So I go Kenneth Walker.
Yeah, I'm leaning the same way as you. I'm going to go Kenneth Walker. I know he's going to be out there. He'll probably be catching some passes too. So I like Kenneth Walker this week over Pittman and Moss.
Absolutely. I got a fellow fantasy holic here, and Ryan says, Merry Christmas, #FatBoyz. Merry Christmas, Ryan. He says, Leonard Fournette or Rachaad White in the flex. Brant, do you have a preference between these two yet, or are you still kind of on the fence like I am?
I'm on the fence with them. I'm actually leaning a little bit Fournette. He saw 60% of the snaps, or 58% of the snaps last week, so he's seeing the majority of the snaps. So I actually lean a little bit Fournette over White, but it's in my mind, it's really a toss-up.
First of all, are either of us playing Ryan in the semifinals before we go giving advice here in the fantasy big league? Even if so, Rachaad White feels like the higher ceiling play here. I think his legs are obviously fresher. He still has a better burst of speed. Fournette, I think, is going to have the bulk of it. There you go. He says at the bottom he's got to beat Jeremiah. So I think if you got to beat him, you got to go Rachaad White. There's higher upside in my mind. A safer play is Fournette, but higher upside is Rachaad White. So if you're trying to go all out, I think you got to put White in there.
Yep, I think White has the higher ceiling out of the two.
Troy says Leonard Fournette, Marquise Hollywood Brown, or Marquise Goodwin in the flex.
I'm taking Hollywood out. I don't trust Trace McSorley. That's going to be it.
He throws it on a dime.
He does. And as much as I love the song and listening to the beat of that song, I don't trust him. So I'm taking Hollywood out. In my mind, this comes down to, do you want safety or do you want that high chance for a high scoring game and the chance for Godwin? But you have to be, if I lean Fournette for safety here. But if you want the higher upside, the possibility of a breakout play, a 50-yard touchdown, or even, everything else that the breakout, it could be Godwin. I think he's got the good one. Sorry. Don't worry about my pronouncing, but I think the safest play here is Fournette. He's going to be involved.
I do think I go Marquise Goodwin in this one. Actually, I expect the Seattle run game to be taken out of the equation here. I think they're going to have to pass. Gino's been pretty good at times, and with no Tyler Lockett, I think you'll see Goodwin be involved to a pretty good number this week. So I think I go Marquise Goodwin in this one. Joseph says Jahan Dotson, Jerry Jeudy, or Drake London for wide receiver here. Brant, I'm going to let you go first here on this one. I kind of know where I'm at already, but I'll put my reasoning out with who I pick here in just a second. I'll let you take this one.
That's a tough one, but I think I have to go with Jeudy on this one. I think he's going to be the number one there in that offense. I know he might see Ramsey, but his route running, he's been great over the last few weeks too. So I think I'm going to have to go with Jeudy on this one.
Yeah, I'm actually taking Jerry Jeudy out. Cortland Sutton's going to be a game time decision, and if he does play, I don't know how much he'll play. So I do expect to see a lot of Jalen Ramsey on Jerry Jeudy this week. So that scares me. So he's out for me. So then it really comes down to Jahan Dotson against the 49ers or Drake London against the Ravens. And this is so homerish, but I got to go with the number one on the offense. Terry McLaurin scares me. I actually think Curtis Samuel has a good week this week for Washington. So I'm going with the guy who's getting the target share, the guy who's got a great chemistry with the rookie quarterback. I'm going Drake London here. I think Drake London could easily get over 90 yards receiving again this week.
Okay.
Joe says, with Lamar Jackson out, which quarterback are you streaming? Jared Goff, Sam Darnold, or Tyler Huntley?
God, Goff's been so bad outdoors. God.
I think I go Sam Darnold here, honestly. Mainly just because of how much I think DJ Moore could be in line for a good week this week out of the slot. I think that carries over for Sam Darnold. Of the three names, that's who I expect to have the best game. I hate picking Sam Darnold. That's not something I'm super enticed by. He does leave the door open for others there, but without knowing what your waiver wire looks like, that's tough.
Joe, if you want to throw us some names on your waivers, maybe help us out a little bit on this one, because neither one of us want to save Sam Darnold, but I think out of those three names, I think we're both leaning Sam Darnold there.
Absolutely. Jennifer says Christian Watson or Jerry Jeudy.
I'm going Watson here. I expect a big game out of Watson. I expect him to be highly involved in that passing game. I know him and Rodgers had a little miscommunication on the last drive of the game, so I expect Watson to come out and prove it this week even more than he already has. So I expect a huge game out of Watson this week.
Yeah. My gut tells me to go with Watson as well, but I'm so nervous for Watson after how good Romeo Doubs looked last week. That seemed to be Aaron Rodgers' first read again. I kind of thought after how good Watson had been lately that that's not the case. But you could tell who Rodgers wanted to get the ball to in crunch time. Watson missing that, arm signal from Rodgers there, and then Rodgers kind of almost making a joke about it in the press conference. I'm sure that's something that's been addressed this week in practice. And again, the likelihood of Cortland Sutton playing in this game is slim to none. So I do expect to see a lot of Jalen Ramsey on Jerry Jeudy. Although I don't know if anybody else saw, there was a lot of Kim Kardashian in the pictures being taken with Jalen Ramsey and those young fans. And we all know the Kim Kardashian curse for the NBA. I don't know how that carries over for the NFL. But I just have a hard time starting a wide receiver, that's not, a typical top 10, top 15 guy against Jalen Ramsey. I know Ramsey hasn't been great this year, but I do think I go Christian Watson just because he doesn't have to play Jalen Ramsey this week. He did that last week. So I do go Christian Watson here.
Yep. Ryan, I
Brian,
absolutely agree with you on that. Darnold in the semis is gross to say, but out of those options, I think you have to.
Yeah, it was. I don't want to pick there either. All right, Brant, I know you wanted to do this week, so I'll let you kick it off. But let's talk about that Christmas miracle.
So, we wanted to talk about some Christmas miracles we expect to see this week. As much as I want my miracle to be Seattle winning and beating Kansas City, I don't know how likely that actually is. So with my Christmas miracle, I am hoping that let's see, I have it written down somewhere. Go ahead and hit yours real fast.
Yeah, so imagine, Brant, being Christmas weekend, all the holiday cheers that you're expecting and all the fun festivities. Imagine going into your lineups and setting your lineup and going looking up at your matchup and seeing that you're facing Derrick Henry against the Houston Texans, and immediately it just crushes your soul. You no longer want to be jolly. You want to take the Christmas tree and just yeet it out into the front yard. It's gross, right? So the Christmas miracle I have for everybody facing Derrick Henry is that the Houston Texans somehow slow down Derrick Henry and don't allow him to go for his average of 100 yards and 2 touchdowns this week. When you threw this at me at the beginning of prior to the show kicking off, on a 5-minute notice that you gave me to get my research done for this, the first thing that came to my mind was the Alvin Kamara 6 touchdown performance from a few years ago. And instantly in my brain, I'm looking for somebody who could do that. And the first person that came to my mind was Derrick Henry against the Houston Texans, because kind of keeping with the theme of this show all season is that you don't sit a running back against the Houston Texans. And I still firmly believe in that. But I think a lot of folks are going to need a Christmas miracle of Derrick Henry slowing down this week.
Yeah, my Christmas miracle is I had 2 of them written down, and the biggest one that stuck out to me is Aaron Rodgers for the first time this year will be a top 5 fantasy quarterback. I am actually having to stream him in one league. I know he hasn't been the greatest. Last time I had to stream him, he went out at halftime and Jordan Love came in. But so hopefully that trend does not continue. I am going to go with Aaron Rodgers being a top 5 fantasy quarterback for the first time this year.
Okay. Joe did follow it up here. I know we want to hit Rico's question first, but Joe did follow it up with his backup or his other quarterback options. I guess since it's on the screen, we'll hit this one really quick. Kenny Pickett, Gardner Minshew, or Russell Wilson are the only other options available on waivers besides like Nick Foles. Brant, I don't know how you feel, but I actually think all 4 of these are slightly better options than the 3 that were sent to us originally. Out of these, I think I would probably roll the dice on Gardner Minshew. I've not been a huge fan of him this week, but I do like him over, Tyler Huntley, Sam Darnold, and Jared Goff. I think I would go with Gardner Minshew over those guys.
Yeah, I think I'm leaning Minshew over all of them, and hope for that Minshew mania continues to roll over for how decent he was in fantasy. So I think I'm leaning Gardner Minshew out of all of those names.
Rico did ask Waller or Dawson Knox. Brant, we both said Waller to this question earlier. Nothing's changed. Has anything changed in your mind? Nothing has for me either. I think Waller is going to be the focal point of that offense this week. I think the Steelers will do a fairly decent job of taking Devontae Adams away from the game. I think TJ Watt's going to put on a show with his pass rush. So I think you'll be looking at a lot of intermediate routes for Derek Carr for completions this week, which is Darren Waller's specialty.
Yep.
Ryan says, I know you guys are wrapping up. I want to thank the FatBoyz for their weekly pods and start sit advice. A huge shout out to Josh, too, who's behind the scenes making this all possible. Merry Christmas, fellas, and we appreciate your efforts. Ryan, I do appreciate that, too. And I want to say it's not the FatBoyz. It's definitely Josh that makes this this turn. So, he's behind the scenes making this all possible. Me and Brant are lucky to be able to turn our computers on each week. Josh doesn't get nearly the credit he deserves to have to put up with us, too, because not only does he have to orchestrate this live for an hour, he also has to deal with us behind the scenes when we're talking a lot of ignorant stuff that we're trying to figure out ourselves. He's shaking his head, but we do appreciate him. He doesn't get enough credit behind the scenes. So, as a Merry Christmas token of my gratitude for Josh, I hope your Giants win this week.
Giants Josh, I can't give you that Giants win as much as I need him to lose, but yes, Josh does deserve a huge shout out on this. He helps us out so much. I know we both have had, issues with it, and he's been right there to help us figure it out to make sure we keep this live stream going every week. So absolutely huge shout out. Thanks, Ryan, again, and also Merry Christmas, Ryan, and everybody. I hope you guys have a great holiday. And I hope you guys get a start out your Christmas weekend with some good starts and a good lead in your matchups this week.
Yeah. Also, Ryan, don't sell yourself short. You've been one of the guys making the graphics for us all year, so we can remind people to tune in as well. So we definitely appreciate you for that too. So it's a big cohesive unit at the Fantasy Hawks that make all these things go. It's a big wheel in motion, and us two are a very small part of very fat part of it, but a very small part of the Fantasy Holics. Great stuff going on that page. So I definitely want to say too to everybody else, we appreciate everything that the Fantasy Holics does as well. So,
yes, absolutely. Do we want to try to get out some props real fast before to see if we can help people maybe replenish their pockets after all that Christmas shopping?
Absolutely. So I'm going to start us off. My first one, and I know there's a lot of these this week, and I think it's the site we use, which is Underdog, throwing out a lot of free bones to a lot of folks. But the first one I'm going to hit is Saquon Barkley over a half of a total touchdown, whether it be receiving or rushing this week. I absolutely think Saquon finds the end zone against the Minnesota Vikings. So that's my first one. I almost feel like that one's can't miss.
Yeah, and I'm going to piggyback on that. They have that for a lot on Underdog. Derrick Henry is still at over under of a half of touchdown against the Houston Texans. And Travis Kelce's also there against the atrocious Seattle defense against tight ends. So all three of those are there, and I think they're great plays this week. One of my favorite plays this week is Geno Smith over 266.5 total yards. That's rushing and passing. I think Geno has to air the ball out quite a bit to stick with Kansas City. So I absolutely love that prop.
Sticking with your Seattle Seahawks, I know I took a lot of props in this game, but the first one that goes right hand in hand with yours is DK Metcalf over 6 receptions. No Tyler Lockett. DK Metcalf's going to have to be the guy that keeps Seattle involved. I expect that to happen. Brant, I'm going to roll through the rest of my prop bets real quick, then I'll let you get through yours because we do have some late questions coming in that I don't want to skip here. I've got Jerick McKinnon over 57.5 total yards. This guy's been the running back one in PPR scoring formats the last 2 weeks. I expect that to continue against your Seattle defense. I've got Travis Kelce over 80.5 receiving yards. He's been slowed down a little bit the last couple of weeks, but I do expect the Kansas City Chiefs offense to get back on track this week. And my last one is I actually have Alvin Kamara under 91.5 total yards. He's only hit that number once since week 8, and that actually was last week. So I do expect Kamara to be held in check here.
Yeah, absolutely. Let's hit these questions real quick, and I'll finish it up with the rest of my props. Joseph asked, running back Zach Moss or Leonard Fournette. I lean Fournette on this one. Where's your head at with that?
Yeah, it's Fournette. We don't know what that backfield is going to shake out to be between Deion Jackson and Zach Moss. Earlier in the season, before Zach Moss was in town, it was Deion Jackson that filled into that Jonathan Taylor role. I actually do expect that to be that way this week. I know you and I were kind of torn on that and had a little bit of a difference of opinion there, but I do think it's Deion Jackson. Richard says James Cook or Chris Moore. So again, you've got the Bills at Chicago against the Bears, and you've got Chris Moore and the Texans at Tennessee. Brant, where are you at?
I'm actually leaning James Cook. I expect them to try to keep the ball on the ground, and I expect him to see plenty of rushing attempts and also short passing attempts with that weather up in Chicago. So I'm actually going to lean James Cook on this one.
I go Chris Moore, actually. Nico Collins is out for sure, and Brandon Cooks is questionable. I don't expect him to play. So I actually think Chris Moore against the Tennessee Titans, who have a atrocious passing defense, I think Chris Moore gets involved pretty well in that game.
Okay. Does it change your mind? It just came out that Brandon Cooks is expected to suit up. Does that change your mind at all? Okay. Just wanted to make sure.
He's checked out after he lost his captaincy there. He's checked out.
Okay. Last
Richard
one from Richard.
Geno Smith or Kirk Cousins. It's Kirk Cousins for me. It's non-prime time. There's other games going on. I know last Saturday, Brant, you made the joke that in the first half it looked like prime time Kirk Cousins. Everybody was watching. The second half, somebody told him in the locker room, "Hey, it's cool. There's other games on." And then he came out and played really well. But this week, I do expect it to be a good Kirk Cousins week.
Yeah, I'm actually going to go the opposite way there. I expect Geno Smith to have to air the ball out, and I think he's going to hang a bunch of fantasy points against that secondary in Kansas City. So I like Geno Smith over Kirk Cousins this week. As you saw with my first prop bet, as I said, Geno over 266.5 yards. I expect him to probably tip 300 yards this week, actually.
All right, Brent, you got about 60 seconds. Hit us through your props.
Burrow over a half interception. I expect him to throw an interception against that New England defense. CMC over 80.5 rushing yards. I like. He averages close to 100 yards a game without Deebo Samuel, so I expect CMC to have a good game. And then Monty, we talked about this weather constantly. I expect Monty to see over 12.5 rush attempts this week.
Fair enough. We got another question in here from Justin. We'll get that one answered here real quick, and then we'll tie a bow on this show here for Christmas. So Justin says Raheem Mostert or Ramondre Stevenson. So again, you've got the Raheem Mostert led backfield out of the Dolphins against the Packers, or Ramondre Stevenson against the Bengals. I still go Stevenson here. I'm not sitting him for just about anybody at this point.
No, I'm leaning Stevenson too. I don't expect Damian Harris to suit up, so I'm taking Stevenson as well.
All right. I think that pretty well does it for us this week. From the FatBoyz to everybody who tuned in and everybody watching, whether you asked a question or not, happy holidays to everybody. I hope everybody has a great weekend for fantasy and time with family and friends. So with that, I bid everybody a farewell. I do think, Brant, we're probably going to address this Mike question real quick. Purdy, Fields, or Goff? I'm not sitting Fields for anything at this point.
Fields.
Fields.
Yep.
All right. All right. That does it for the FatBoyz. As always, stay hungry.
And stay fat, my friend. Merry Christmas.